Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Make sure to follow us on our Discord community and make sure you stop by www.tsj101sports.com. Pro Wrestling Podcast is the official wrestling podcast of TSJ Sports, but that's not all they do. TSJ Sports, your location for baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and all your sports action. Check out www.tsj101sports.com. Guys, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shout-outs, like our buddy Mike in Lansdale, who is our #1 Patreon, then check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today, and don't forget, we have loyalty rewards. If you were a $15 a month contributor, you can co-host an episode of one of our shows with me, and then our $7.50 a month contributors, you get entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you have questions, comments, anything you want us to touch on, shoot them to us at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160, or put your comments or questions into the chat function of whatever streaming service you're using for this show, and we'll try to get to those in a future episode. Don't forget to check out the homepage of the Pro Wrestling Podcast at frowrestling.com, where you can preview topics coming to the show, check out our interview series, and check out our blog in Fro's Corner. So today, lots of things to talk about. Let's get started right away. NXT absolutely blew my mind because obviously you wait so long for somebody to dethrone Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. It finally happens, and we get Keith Lee to win the championship, and then almost instantly, the championship is taken from Keith Lee and put on Karrion-Kross. Now, Keith Lee, the guy who is both the North American champion and the NXT champion, clearly the man for the brand, you move him to Raw, forget all about his NXT accolades because now he's into a program with Randy Orton. Give the championship, the next banner carrier, give that to Karrion-Kross, who screws up his shoulder in the match, taking a clothesline from Keith Lee, and already has to relinquish the championship. I think it's incredibly crazy how all that went down in such a short period of time, but on NXT, Karrion-Kross comes in, he drops the title, forfeits the championship, and it's almost heartbreaking. They really did a good job of building him up the minute he got into the company, but it is already over for him as NXT champion, and what ends up happening is you have William Regal announce how they are going to address the situation, and the way they're going to address it is a fatal four-way, 60-minute Iron Man NXT championship match. Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor all battling it out for the championship. What I find very strange about this four-way match is they're essentially, to a good extent, all heels. Who's the babyface in this match? Ciampa, maybe, but he came back and he looked more heelish than he looked like a babyface. Finn Balor, well, he's been a heel since he got back to the brand. Adam Cole, clearly not. He's been the lead heel in the company for quite a while, unless you count Johnny Gargano. So that's everybody in the match. There's no babyface in this match, which I think adds an element that we haven't seen in a lot of the programming before. So I can't wait to see how they work this match out and who comes out new NXT champion. Do me a favor, give me your opinion in the comments below. If you are using YouTube, make sure you click that bell to enable notifications so they let you know every time we put up an episode. And if you get on YouTube, make sure you give us your comments. Who do you think will be the next NXT champion? We know who the new NXT Tag Team Champions are, Breezango, who have been everything to WWE from a comedy act to now the NXT Tag Team Champions, finally got their opportunity to bask in the glory by winning the championships from the Imperium stable. I am a little surprised. Imperium is a much more over faction as being legitimate shooter style presentation for their team, and I really thought they were going to have a longer run with the championship, especially, again, almost like the Adam Cole thing. When you take a championship from the Undisputed Era, you would think they're going to hang on to it for a significant period of time. That didn't happen with this. Instead, Fandango and Tyler Breezango walking out as the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, the other big tidbit we have to talk about NXT is I love the work Wade Barrett did on commentary, and he will be back next week again. His profile has been added back to WWE's website, which tells me there must be plans for him. They don't go through all the riffraff and hassle for a one-off to put a guy back in just to take him back out. So I get the feeling that there is a plan in place for him to come back, at least in a commentator role, at a more, I don't want to say a full-time basis, but a much more substantial and more regular basis. And I think that's only good for the brand. I said that in the last episode. I think he brings something to the broadcast booth that a lot of other people have not brought in quite a while. So, and I said this the other day, I think he helps temper the excitement of Mauro Ranallo and will bring just a whole nother layer to the broadcast team. So I think that is probably a great idea. There's been a lot of conversation about who are the people behind the masks of Retribution. And to be perfectly honest with you, it seems like a lot of fans are very convinced Mia Yim from NXT is one of them. There's a very good chance she's leaving NXT. She lost to Shotzi Blackheart on NXT on Wednesday. She hasn't really been put into a premium program since WrestleMania season, and she's really done everything she can in NXT. So I would not be surprised to see if she moves up as part of that. The other names that have been attached to it, Dominik Dijakovic, Dio Madden, are also considered to be parts of the program. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing. I know there is a photo floating around out there with there's 7 wrestlers in this photo, and maybe they're the 7 members of Retribution. We don't know, but I think if they're doing this with just it's almost like Nexus Junior, you know, bringing back another angle that's similar to Nexus, bringing up NXT guys to invade the brand. You've been there. You've done that. They should have done it in a different way if that's what they're going to do, because this, especially when you're just bringing Wade Barrett back to the program, it really does sound like that's what they're trying to do, and I'm not a big fan of that. Also, in the news, Alex-Shelly, who is one half of the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, his former tag team partner, Kushida, is in NXT. The two teamed up for the Dusty Rhodes Classic in NXT earlier this year, but after that match, it was a one-off for Alex-Shelley, in and out of WWE that fast, and now he's with Impact Wrestling, reforming the Motor City Machine Guns and winning the Tag Team Championship. And I'm thrilled for the Machine Guns. I've always been a fan of theirs, but my concern is he puts out a tweet that talks about, hey, Kushida, I'm a free agent. And he's like, Time Splitters challenge Tyler Breeze and Fandango in NXT. Now, wait a minute. You're the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champion. How can you be throwing out a challenge to another company, especially of all companies? If it was AEW, if it was Ring of Honor, if it was New Japan, I get it, because those companies will work with other companies. WWE doesn't do that. There is not any scenario that I can see in my brain where Triple H, who is in charge of NXT, says, yeah, let's bring in the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion, or one half of the tag team champions, and have him team up with one of our guys to face our tag team champions. Now, don't get me wrong, from a fantasy booking standpoint, I would love to see that. I think that'd be a great idea. But it's not going to happen. But the problem is, with a tweet like this, it gets people thinking, what if? Now, if anybody was able to pull this off, it would be Triple H, and I'd be perfectly okay with that. Chris Sabin, his Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion partner, I would love to know what he thinks of the whole thing. Like, at the end of the day, is he not looking at him saying, yo, bro, we're tag team partners here? Instead of going in and trying to team up with Kushida, why don't you throw something out there about the two of us going into NXT? And let's be honest, Impact Wrestling has had some cross-promotional agreements with WWE in the past, whether it was promoting the Global Wrestling Network when that was a thing, and they were trying to, use some video library stuff for Kurt Angle and some other wrestlers, or whatever. They have had a little bit of crossover, so it's not like thoroughly impossible, it's just highly unlikely. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But, the story that I really need to get out there to you guys today is about the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, we all know that the Hall of Fame was supposed to happen earlier this year at WrestleMania. It didn't happen because of COVID, but it came out today that the WWE Hall of Fame, that they are planning to hold the Hall of Fame class induction at the 2021 WrestleMania. They're going to forego the entire 2020 year and move them all ahead the next year. And for those of you who forget, the British Bulldog, Batista, the NWO, meaning Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Sean Waltman, or X-Pac, whatever you want to call him, JBL, the Bella Twin, and Jushin Thunder Liger were the ones who were supposed to be in the 2020 class. Now, I get moving it ahead. I have no problem with that. You want to get the aura of the whole WWE Hall of Fame thing, but I would much rather you added a few more names. Just because we've already been chewing on these names for like almost a year now. So let's add another layer of excitement to it. Add a few more people. Now, I get it. That night tends to get a little long, and I always find it so disrespectful when the younger talent get up and leave before people are done giving their speeches. That happened during the Goldberg speech. I thought it was just so disrespectful. And I get it. It's longer, so you limit how long people can talk, but give the fans what they want. Give them a few more people, especially since all of us could name easily dozens of other people who belong in the Hall of Fame. With this, you're limiting more people. You're prolonging how long it'll be till we get to see some of the names in there that we really should see and probably should have seen a long, long time ago. But we'll have to wait and see how they handle that and see how they move forward. The last thing of the day, Pat McAfee. We talked the other day about his incredible performance at NXT TakeOver 30. I thought he did an excellent job. The concern I have is you put on this incredible performance. What are we doing now? Well, he came out yesterday and he made it clear that when he had a conversation with Triple H, there was conversation about doing a match, but because there were no fans in the arena, people are now buzzing his ear and telling him, you got to do it with fans. You got to do it with fans. Go back, do another match, and make sure you do it with fans. And he has not shut the door on that. Now, what he has said is he hadn't really thought about it beyond that one match. But now that one's out of the way, and because there were no fans there, he's not 100%, I think his quote was, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen, but he assumes he's going to have a conversation with Triple H. And I think that's a great idea. I thought he was very impressive. And if WWE is smart, let's be honest, the guy has a lot of business ventures he's involved with. He has a daily television program that he produces, a show. It would take a lot to get him to make a more substantial contribution to WWE. But with the advent of all these part-time contracts that a lot of these wrestlers sign nowadays, why couldn't you sign him to maybe 4 appearances a year or 6 appearances a year? That way you can get some Raws or SmackDowns in there. Why not? He clearly is athletic. The back spring off the top turnbuckle, leaping back up onto the turnbuckle to hit a superplex. I mean, that was awesome at NXT TakeOver. So if I was WWE, I would at least consider what you can do to make sure that he stays in the fold, because I think he's worth it. He's absolutely a top talent, not necessarily as the best wrestler in the world, but as far as mainstream media attention is concerned, ESPN would cover stuff like that, Fox Sports would cover stuff like that, and all the news outlets would cover things like that, CNN.com and places like that. They would all cover it because he's a crossover from football to wrestling. So go for it, WWE. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing any music or sound effects we use on our shows. Today's show, sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to ProWrestling.com and click the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at ProLifePlanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Pro-Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Pro-Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you so much for taking a few moments with us today. And like I said before, if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors and sports news in general, go to www.tsj101sports.com for their latest articles. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great night.